Hi everyone, this is Dr. Mike, host of the free iTunes podcast, Psychiatric Secrets Revealed with Dr. Mike, but that's not why I'm here today. This is another Saving Savvy episode, and this time I'm going to talk about what I liked and didn't like, it's mostly likes, about the Panasonic LX100 when I actually took it on vacation. So this is the third video I've done on this camera. First one was a general review, second one was a picture slideshow, and I'm going to talk about its actual use on a 2-week trip that I took to Arizona. And in this trip I had a lot of outdoor shots, I had some indoor shots, some low light shots, so a lot of very bright shots, some moving shots, so I really got to test out this camera. And don't forget that I travel with my family. They put up with my picture taking, but they certainly will not spend 10 minutes as I set up a shot. I mean, they're walking ahead and I'm like trailing behind taking pictures. So the camera has to be very responsive for me to really like using it. So what are some of the things I liked? Well, I really liked having a shutter speed control right directly as a dial on the top. This was especially useful if I had to quickly take something that was moving. For instance, I would be in a moving car, stick the camera out the window, take a picture of something and get a usable picture. I always also really liked the fact that I had easy to access exposure compensation. That's a control that I think any photographer that knows anything about cameras uses frequently when you're trying to deal with a backlit subject or you're trying to get a quick compensation of an exposure that maybe the camera thinks it should have, but it's not what you want. So that's right here too. Really like this. Like most cameras, it has a drive mode, but I like the fact that it was so easy to access, especially for things like panorama. So drive mode, panorama, really easy to do. Believe it or not, and I know this is going to get some shrieks from the avid photographer, I really like the fact that it had an intelligent auto mode. So like a lot of cameras, you can do an auto mode where it will figure out the scene for you. And you think, well, gee, what kind of a photographer are you? The reality is that when you're really in a pinch, you got to take that quick picture. The family's moving ahead. Press that button, and more often than not, you're going to get a usable picture. Now, although I certainly didn't use it all the time, I did use it, and I was very grateful that I had it. I also like the fact that I could easily select a focus point. I just press this one control right here and easily manipulate through a variety of different focus scenarios, and likewise had a variety of exposure options. This has an aperture ring on it. Surprisingly, although I would use this a lot if I was taking pictures at a wedding or portraits or something, didn't use it very much on vacation just because I wasn't doing careful compositions. I was taking a lot of shots. I left it mostly on automatic. It was nice to have the various aspect ratio controls on top. Did use it for some of the shots. Kind of a nicety, but not a necessity. And I actually got this additional thing, this automatic lens cover, which kind of does that. It's kind of cool, really, if you see it retract. Let me see if I can do that. Back this way. And this is actually the Panasonic cover. I think it's kind of woefully overpriced. I think it feels like plastic to me, and it did slip off quite a few times on my trip, but I like the fact that it was there. I wasn't in danger of losing a lens cover mostly, and it really was at the ready when I wanted to take a picture. So that was an extra, but I did enjoy that. Other things that I generally liked, it's only 400 grams. Certainly it's not as light as a cell phone, but very light. It certainly doesn't stress you if it's around your neck or in a bag that you're taking. Not heavy at all. I really like the fact that it had a fast lens going from 1.7 to an f of 2.8 at its telephoto end. So you're really getting quite a bit of camera lens in this little camera lens, and pretty much usable for anything, any type of scene. I like the quality of the glass. It's like a glass. I like the fact that it was all in one and I didn't have to open it to put a new lens on and potentially get dust in it in very dusty situations. Actually, we were in a dust storm in Phoenix, a real dust storm where we got an emergency alert and everything. Never been in one of those before because I'm from the Midwest. We don't have dust storms here, or at least none that I know of. The EVF was nice, although I found that I mostly used the display for most of my shots. And I really like the fact that it had a very good automatic horizon in it, because I tend to make crooked pictures a little bit, and this really helped in that regard. The panorama mode is super easy to use and very effective. Like that quite a bit. The Wi-Fi which I didn't think I'd use at all. I actually did use. The app is very handy. You can actually use the app to control the camera in many ways. I used it mostly to download pictures, but it was very easy to pick like 4 or 5 or 6 or 10 pictures from a bunch that I took, transfer them to my phone, leave the rest behind, and then use my phone as a photo editor, which surprisingly worked pretty well. I was kind of shocked. I never used my phone as much as I did on this trip for a photo editor. I was shocked that it worked. It did. Battery life is, of course, not stupendous in a camera this size, about 300 shots, but I took over 2,000 shots over 2 weeks, and I never ran out of battery. I did have a spare battery, but I had plenty for my use. Obviously, if you were doing a big shoot in one day and wanted to use this, you'd want an extra battery. The HDR is very easy to access with the quick menu. I didn't find the HDR super duper on this camera. I need to maybe test it out more. I was shooting a lot at the Grand Canyon, and I really expected a dramatic difference, which I did not see. I'll do some more test shots around here, though. I'm not terribly impressed by the functionality. Also, easy access to bracketing, same sort of a thing. It has a 24 at the wide end, which is pretty standard, but yet nice. I mean, some cameras are 28, going to 75. But this has an intelligent zoom, which is much better than a digital zoom. It's interpolated in some way, and so you can really get up to 150 millimeters. So now you're going from 25 to 150 millimeters without a lot of degradation in your image, and really that's pretty much all what most of us would need for most situations. It also has the ability to have a regular digital zoom that would take it up to 300 millimeters. I did not try that because I have such a bias against digital zooms, but I've read on the internet that it offers degradation, but it's not too terrible either. You can make this camera virtually silent, where it doesn't make any noise whatsoever, not even a shutter noise. That was kind of nice in a lot of situations. It does have 4K video, which I sadly did not use. I don't shoot a lot of video because it's too time consuming on vacation. I'm like snap, 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 and I used to be a big video shooter many years ago, but it drove my family crazy. Now I just do pictures. The lens cap I told you about. What are some things that I wish were improved on this camera? I gotta go to page 2. Hold on. Not a lot. A lot of these things the camera can't help. So I really wish it had a built-in flash. There were so many times where I wanted just a little bit of fill flash with a very bright setting, and it didn't really have this. Now it does come with a clip-on flash. It does have a flash shoe. There's no room for a flash up here, and I would probably take the flash shoe over a built-in flash probably, but I still wish it had that. I also wish that it had a Tilty Screen. Now, I'm an old guy, and really getting down on my knees and getting close to something and getting up again, believe it or not, is a little bit of a hassle now. And so a Tilty Screen would have made things so much better. Probably would have made the camera a little thicker, and you probably couldn't have it because of this EVF here sticking out, but I still would have liked it if they could figure it out some way. The filters on here. Now, I actually like using built-in filters, but not on this camera. So my favorite filters come from the Olympus camera series. I have an EPL2. I absolutely love those filters. I've used them. I love the dramatic filter. It does all sorts of amazing stuff, at least in my humble estimation. This has a series of filters that are kind of similar, but they just don't play out very well. I found that I really didn't use them very often. And I did most of my kind of filtering stuff in editing, not actually from the camera. Yeah. I also wish that it had a slightly wider angle at its wide angle. 24 is not bad, but if I could get a 22 or 21, I would take that. So all in all, really excellent camera. Really happy that I took it on vacation. Really, really love the manual easy access controls and the ability to access other controls through the quick menu. I would highly recommend this camera for someone who's traveling. Again, it's a micro four thirds camera with a super fast lens and a decent range from wide angle to telephoto, especially if you take into account that intelligent zoom. Can't really complain too much about this camera. Anyways, if you get some time, please give my free podcast a listen. It's called Psychiatric Secrets Revealed with Dr. Mike. You can find it on iTunes. And if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. Take care.